Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Ralph, and in today's interview I'm going to talk to Brian Kupferschmid. Brian is a US-based electronica musician who is mostly using iOS devices and apps for his music production. He just landed a deal with a record label, Apptronica. So without further ado, we start today's interview. Hello ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm together with Brian Kupferschmid. Brian is a YouTubing progressive electronic musician from the United States. Brian is also the father of 2 boys, and that makes his story so interesting, juggling a family life with a musical and a blue-collar career. Hi Brian, how is it going?
It's going well, thanks Ralph.
Okay, Brian, I want to kick off the interview with a question. Is there any success quote or motto or mantra that you live by and that has helped you along your journey as a musician?
Yeah, if you have a passion for what it is that you do it to its fullest extent. Don't stop halfway. And then the other part of that is creativity knows no bounds. So if it's something that you're into, pursue that. If it's different than what you did previously, pursue that too. It's good to have a diverse palette.
All right, cool. So now go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your musical background. Where do you live? What else are you doing in life? How you got started with music and synthesizers? What kind of music you are playing and what gear are you using? I know these are many questions, but you try to answer all of them.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Well, I grew up, I'm born and raised in Peoria, Illinois. I've lived here all my life. It's central United States. My musical career actually started very young. I grew up listening to all kinds of music. I had parents that were into everything from the rock and roll of the day to classical to even experimental music, which is probably where I heard my first synthesizer. Would be probably something by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Wow.
Yeah, so the first time I ever heard a Moog synthesizer, I didn't know what it was, but I knew I liked it. But it wasn't until I was 14 when I saw my first concert, and Steve Vai was the guitarist, and I decided I have to play guitar. So I started off on guitar. I'm still very much a guitarist. But as time went on, you know, I got into metal and rock and roll. But then as I got a little bit older, I started getting into jazz and blues and things like that. And it was probably about the early 90s that I really started to get into electronic music. And it all started on the computer. I didn't know anything about synthesizers or anything like that, but I knew I liked the sounds. And it probably wasn't until about 2 years ago that I realized that synthesizers and having keyboards and that is what I really wanted to do. And in that meantime, I'm still a guitarist. I've been playing bass and now synthesizers. As for the gear that I use, my first keyboard was a Yamaha M08, and then I eventually got an Arturia Microbrute. But I've got this fascination with frequency modulation synthesis. So I bought a Yamaha DX27 to learn how to use frequency modulation synthesis. And that's pretty much my keyboard setup, along with my iPad, which is a big source of a lot of my synthesized sounds.
Okay, cool. So in your music, are you still using the guitar or is it just synthesizer music?
A lot of what you see, if you've seen my YouTube channel, a lot of what you see is synthesizer. But yes, I still use guitar, and I still play in a local cover band. I'm their guitarist. So
Okay.
I'm a very active musician all the way around.
Okay, to the viewers, as always, I put the link to Brian's YouTube channel into the description box of this YouTube video. So you'll find the link below. Brian, I think we move on to the next question. What are your core values as a musician and artist? And has there been any incident in your life that made you really aware of your core values and which then subsequently helped you on your artistic journey?
I would say my core values are to stay true to who you are and what you represent. Um, if you have a strong passion for a particular style, and this goes for art as well as music, um, follow that muse. Don't let somebody dictate to you what you should be doing. Do what makes you happy. And if your tastes change as they do as we get older, follow that muse wherever it takes you, no matter what. Um, as I'd stated before, when I realized I wanted to take that journey into being a musician, is when I saw Steve Vai play guitar. But as I got older, I began to follow more experimental things, and it's kept my interest, and that has kind of led me to where I'm at today.
Mhm. You know, earlier you mentioned Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and actually I'm a teenager of the 1980s, but I was also listening a lot to the music of the 70s. Yes, progressive rock, and also Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's still one of my favorite bands. And, you know, I would like to know, has the music of Emerson, Lake and Palmer influenced you in any way?
Oh, absolutely. Um, in fact, when I first started playing keyboards, one of the one things I wanted to learn was the synth solo to Keith Emerson solo to Lucky Man.
Okay, lucky
And
man.
yeah, and going down that road, I have always wanted to do an entire, like a cover, the entire album of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. It's by far one of my favorite Pink Floyd albums.
Okay, cool. I just had to ask you that question because
Sure.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I still follow Keith Emerson on Facebook and I just love his stuff, really. So
Oh, he's amazing.
the old albums really blow me away. My favorite album is Welcome Back, My Friends, to the Show That Never Ends. You know, the 3-record live album.
Hmm.
And I think Tarkus and Trilogy. Anything from that from them is great, but
I
that's
have
just a side
Trilogy on
note.
vinyl.
On vinyl, me too, somewhere in the basement. Okay, Brian. So we move on. So, what was your biggest regret or mistake as a musician, and what have you learned from it?
Well, I thought about it, and I think no regrets would be the right answer, but I do really kind of wished I would have, as a youth, um, followed my dream a little more aggressively than I had. But when life happens, you have to roll with it and make adjustments and pursue your dream when you can. And so I really don't have any regrets other than I just took the long way, the long road.
But you have learned something on the long road, huh? Haven't
I
you?
have, I have.
So, um, Brian, then all artists and musicians suffer a little bit from self-doubt and self-criticism. So how you deal with it? What's your recipe?
Um, what I do is I have to tell myself on a regular basis, because I am my toughest critic, without a doubt. I have to tell myself there's something like 7 billion people on this planet. Surely at least one person's going to like what you do. So if you don't put it out there, you're never going to know. And so I decided to start my YouTube channel and put my music out there and put my performances out there and just get out there, whether I feel comfortable with it or not, because ultimately at least one person's going to like what you do.
And what's the boldest thing you have ever done?
That would be to start my YouTube channel and put myself out in front of a global audience. I just started 4 months ago, so I'm still working on building that audience, but so far the responses I've seen have been positive, and that's what continues to drive me to do it.
Okay, cool. And do you have any 3 tips for aspiring musicians?
Yes. Number one, and this is probably the most important one, practice, practice, practice. Get to know your instrument, learn everything about it. And the more you do it, the better you become at it. The other tip is, following your muse. Do whatever the mood you're in strikes. And when the mood strikes, do it. Because some of your most creative stuff will come out then. And chase your passion and chase it aggressively. Don't let anyone or anything stop you from following your dream.
Mm-hmm. Brian, now I have 3 questions for you, rapid questions, and I would like you to answer them in a short and concise way. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. What or whom do you think of when you hear the word success?
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. And is there any music album or a movie or a book that you recommend on a regular basis or might even give away as a present?
That would have to be A Change of Seasons by Dream Theater.
Okay, I love that band. You know, that record was released 20 years ago, I think in 1996. Back then, I was still living and working in Asia, and I remember for roughly a month, I was listening to that album every day when I was wasting hours in traffic in my car in Bangkok, really. This album is amazing, really. Do you remember the long track? You know, there's a 20-minute track. How it was called? I think that's Change of Season.
That is A Change of Seasons. It's got 5 movements to it. Yep.
Brilliant stuff, really. So, as a message to the people who are watching this video right now, if you have a chance, Google Dream Theater Change of Season. Okay. Then the question, Brian, imagine you could travel back in time, back to the future style, and you had the chance to meet the 21-year-old Brian. What advice would you give him?
I would say, don't listen to anyone or anything tell you different. Follow that dream. If playing music is what you want to do it. And don't let anybody steer you off your path.
All right. And is there any website or online tool that you are currently using for your music? Anything you can recommend?
Most of my stuff you're going to be able to find on my YouTube channel, or you can find that on my SoundCloud, which I believe I have links on my YouTube channel that you can access that way.
Okay, cool. Once again, I put the link to Brian's YouTube channel in the description box of this YouTube video. And Brian, what projects are you currently working on? Anything in the pipeline?
I actually have a couple of things going on. Aside from my regular local cover band gig that I'm doing, I am currently working on an ambient noise project that I've called the Dojo tracks, or the Dojo sessions. And believe it or not, and this is where the iPad comes in extremely handy, I'm composing these tracks within the span of 1 hour, which happens during my youngest son's karate lessons. While he's doing his lessons, I'm sitting there waiting for him. I'm composing my ambient tracks.
So hence the name Dojo.
The Dojo sessions, yes.
Okay.
I'm also working on a trip hop album. Actually, I shouldn't say album. A trip hop track with another local female vocalist friend of mine, and I'm still working on that one. And we're going to get together and start writing song lyrics and things like that. Okay. So those are the projects I have going on right now.
I think there's one more. You mentioned the iOS music project, huh?
You're right, yes.
So do you want to elaborate on that one a little bit?
I really can't because nothing's definite yet, but I've been talking to a label called Apptronica based out of, I believe, Seattle, Washington. And they feature artists that primarily compose music on the iOS systems using their iPhones or their iPads. And I've been seriously considering hooking up with them and putting my putting my music out through them.
Okay, cool.
But we've only been in talks, and I'm trying to get some questions answered in that before I, seal the deal. But it's looking very promising.
Okay, cool. And what's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook, but if you go to either my YouTube channel, I think I have a link to my Facebook page there, or I do have a blog site called iPad Apps Cafe. And again, I can put a link on my YouTube for that as well. It's the best way to contact me.
Yeah, okay, cool. And once again, I put the link to your YouTube channel into the description box of this interview. Brian, yeah, thank you for doing this. I find your story really fascinating because I think it can also inspire other family men that pursuing a musical career and a family life, it's possible. You can manage it. I think you are a good example.
Well, thank you.
Brian. So, Brian, thanks for doing this, coming to my show. And I wish you best of luck for all your music projects. We keep in touch anyway, because we are connected, through so many social media platforms. I will keep an eye on your YouTube channel. So, Brian, you take care, huh?
Thank you very much, Ralph. I appreciate it. And yeah, you too. I'll be watching your stuff as well.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right, this is the end of today's interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure that you check out Brian's YouTube channel. I put the link into the description box of this YouTube video. Please check out some of my previous interviews and videos. I provide the link over here. And if you like what you see, you may consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. You'll find the link here below. So for today, I say goodbye. Have a good week. I see you next time. Until then, peace.